So, yeah, ready to go on to the first question?
All right. Our first question is: was it just me, or was the way James had his hand on Sandy's lower back seemed a bit inappropriate? Frank seemed to be upset by it. What are your thoughts? Oh yeah, this scene was hilarious. Frank was all up his butt about it. But yeah, I think it was inappropriate. Definitely, because would nobody be touching me like that if that's not my husband? So, but yeah, I love the way Frank held himself back. It's like, it's in your head. It's not anything. Like, because he really wanted to swing on James. Like, if you don't move your
Yeah,
hand,
he did. He was like, get your hand off of her. I'm like, just say something, Frank, at this point, because you're really going through it in your mind.
you're right.
What were your thoughts, Lily?
Once again, Frank punks out. He should have turned up, but this man, I just have a hard time liking him as well. I just Frank is a bitch. Um, but what I will say about the hand being on the lower back, um, that was very inappropriate. But what it was the fact that Sandy kind of smiled back and they had this little exchange, and I'll be like, hold on, wait, what, Ma, what you doing? If I was there, I'd be like, what's that? Who? Okay, we don't need to be on Maury, do we?
No.
So yeah, it was a bit much. Like I'm like, hold on, do they have a past or what was with that? Because she wasn't like, hey, I got a husband, blah blah blah. Especially when she saw that her husband, the punk, was bothered. He wasn't gonna do nothing, but he was bothered by it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, once she saw that he was upset about it, and she was just kind of like, "Shut up! This is a family friend." Blah blah blah. I was like, "Nah." It was inappropriate. It was definitely inappropriate. But what Frank gonna
Something was
do?
not.
Right? He ain't gonna do nothing.
He don't do that.
He ain't gonna do
Yeah,
nothing.
it was. And then it was like he put his hand on her back because Nana was fussing about something as usual, and Sandy was just at her, wits end, and they were looking for a camera. And I don't know. Sandy seems kind of like how my mom is a little bit when it's time for us to go somewhere important, and everybody's rushing out the house. She's gonna fix a pillow, and she's gonna, straighten up the table, and put the like. You do that when we get back because you're adding extra stress that nobody needs, right? And then, he comes over to her and he's like, "Oh, Mia Moore, like, don't worry about that." And it's like, my love. What you say? Why are you talking Spanish? Why, that's real, like, sensual
Right.
type of talk. Like, what are you talking about? And some people say, like, "Oh, Mia Moore, like, anybody can be Mia Moore, like, kids." Da, da, da. Yeah, but we're talking, we grown adults, you know what I'm saying? And you may not be wanting to call another man's wife Mia Moore. You might want to leave that for him to say. So yeah, I definitely understood, Frank's frustration. Like, you have your hand on my wife like that. And she seemed to be like, "Thank you, James. I may." You got me right. Like it was as if, he said what needed to be said. It was like him putting his hand on her back, just like it reassured her and it just brought all this peace. And it's like, but wait a minute, like Alicia said, do we need to have a conversation? Is something else happening? Like, so I definitely felt like, Frank he wasn't wrong for feeling that way, but like Alicia said, the punk, like the punk in him won't let him step up and be like, "So, Sandy, Stan, baby, what was that? What was that? Because you got to call it out, right?" And it might have just been like totally innocent, but we do have to know certain things are inappropriate. And when you're dealing with other people's spouses or people in relationships in general, you have to be careful how you conduct yourself because it's easy for things to be taken out of context. There was an older man at my church who was like literally 44 years older than me. Okay. This man was old enough to be my grandfather. Really cool, really super cool older black man. Me and him used to talk politics, just everything from God, politics, families, just whatever, and I love that man. Like he was just so dope. And his wife, she did the most. She went around and told lies on me to people at the church that I was inappropriate. I was like I wasn't all hugged up on daddy, sitting on his lap or anything, just you see an older man in your church, you guys connect and you vibe and you talk. And she had a real problem with it. And I don't just think it was our age difference. I think that race had something to do with it. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there. She and him had not been married like a long, long time. I think they were older in their lives. And I think they had maybe been married 8 or 9 years or something like that. And they were like in their early to mid 60s. And I feel like race did play a part in that because she was Caucasian and he's an older black man. And let's just be honest, people, say what you want to say, but when you culturally connect with people, you can give each other a look and we know what the look means. Like, so can happen, you be like, and you already know what that person's thinking because culturally we just
Right.
have certain cues and clues about our language and our nonverbal skills. Like we know and we're communicating, you know what I'm saying? And so sometimes people can see those things and they can perceive it as something that it's not. And so she ran with it and basically thought I was a hussy. And so I just pretty much, stayed away from him after that. I was like, oh, hi. I stopped giving hugs and stuff like that because I'm like, I'm going to be a whole tramp in God's house, huh? Not to say that people don't do it because they do it, but I'm like, I'm married, you know what I'm saying? And I'm really trying to stay that way. So why would I want your husband? Deal with your own low self-esteem. You see what I'm saying? I think that there's some kind of connection here between James and Sandy. There's a connection here. Um, Clearly she seems very comfortable with him. And that feeling of comfortableness, I think, led him to feel like he could touch her and, and not feel anything about it. But, Frank was feeling some kind of way, like, well, what your hand on my wife's back for? Speaking Spanish over there, rubbing her back, trying to be the Puerto Rican lover. Stop it. Like, don't do it. So something else, I think was happening in terms of their connection. So I'm not sure how close they are. I guess we'll find out more about that. If there's anything else to it, we'll find out. But definitely a good question. Next question is yours, Alili.
Okay, Malia's grandma was a drama queen. I see why Malia stays away. Does her family act like this all the time? Um, Apparently, yeah. Yeah, they act like that. They even brought it out of
Mm-hmm.
Sandy. Sandy broke character for a minute, started speaking that Creole when she
Sure
got
did.
pissed off, because they was doing what they do, and she was like, almost. I see that with Hispanic people. They'll be speaking English, blah blah blah, and then when they get pissed, they just da da blah 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 da da da, and you're like, oh, well, welcome,
Mm-hmm.
whoever you are. Right, whatever personality that one was, but yeah, they even brought it out of and I mean the grandma was doing the most though. I mean, from, oh God, is she a lesbian? Why don't somebody tell me? And I'm like, how does it, she's supposed to be married already? I'd rather be at a wedding than a graduation. I'm like, Lord Jesus, this child is earning
She
her
acted
degree,
like a 2-year-old.
a whole baby. I'm like, dang, and just being
Mm-hmm.
dramatic.
She had
I
a
mean,
tantrum.
so I think, yeah, I believe her family does act like that. And that's probably why she
Mm-hmm.
stays away. Look what grandma said. Oh, she's earning
Mm-hmm.
another degree. Forget a degree. She need to be married. What? Ma'am? She's getting an education that bothers you? So yeah, that's probably
Uh-huh.
why she stay away. Malia already got the rest of Rose City society, looking at her because she's not married and bogged down with kids, and grandma shares those
Yeah,
same.
bogged down is right.
Right,
Arcade
well, I'm
views.
just saying bogged down because those women seem absolutely miserable. They don't seem, even though they're
Let's be
married with
honest.
children, they
Yes,
seem
it is
absolutely,
bogged down.
yeah, and so that's why I say that. I'm not saying if you're married with kids, it's a horrible thing. I'm just saying, like, with this society, from
It's
what I've
work,
seen,
people.
yeah, they
It's
hate
work. It's
Malia
not
for
easy.
being single and living her life. They hate her for that. So I'm like, yeah, you niggas is not, ain't happy. So I believe her family does, and I mean Brandon was even worried, like, oh my God, these niggas is wilding.
Mm-hmm.
I believe her family does act like that all the time. It brought it out of Sandy.
Right.
So yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And exactly what Alicia said. This is exactly why Malia stays away. She's been dealing with this her whole life. So she knows what it's going to be. She knows her parents, her grandma or her mom or even her dad is going to say something to piss her off, and she's going to be like, why am I here? Why did I come? It just wants to leave again. So this is why
Right.
we see where the pressure and stresses are coming from, on Malia's side of the family. So we're definitely getting a big glimpse of why Malia is the way she is.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I believe that this is exactly how they act when they get together. I think there's a lot of banter. I think there's a lot of over dramatic actions and behaviors, and it's just like I'm not going over to your house to get chopped and screwed. Like I can stay home for that. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't need that type of drama. And yeah, Granny was talking real crazy. I'm tired. I mean, she would at one point, Malia's grandmother, like refused to kind of get out of the vehicle because she was just like, I'm tired and I'm sick and tired of going to graduation. How many graduations a person need? She's like, I'm ready to go to a wedding. I'm like, a wedding? Like, and she was really having a fit. And at one point, the family just walked away from her and they're like, let Sandy deal with it, and Brandon's like, well, I need to lock my car up. But, he's trying to be like, this is Granny. I need to help her out the vehicle. And it's a big SUV. And honey, she was acting up. So I definitely think this is a good depiction of some of the things that Malia has to deal with. Look at the way Granny Nana was over here questioning Sandy about Malia's life as if she was in control. Like, no, this is your fault. You ought to make that girl, settle down. Settle down and get what exactly? Like, what is? I'm trying to figure this out. What is it that a woman is missing? Tell me, what is she missing? Oh, you don't have a husband. You don't have some kids. Oh, you mean you don't have extra stress in your life? What are you missing? And I'm not saying that relationships are terrible, but a lot of the ones are terrible. You know what I'm saying? And you acting like somebody's missing out on sleepless nights or fighting and arguing. Like, Leah's smart. She's taking her time, honey. Let her be. Let that woman, do what she wants to do. Because if she rushes off into something like, well, see, and you picked him, and you picked him. So that's what people like to say, right? If you're single, you can't get a man. No, honey, a man couldn't keep a good thing, honey, and got left. Like, let's make it make sense. Anybody can stay in a situation and struggle, but it takes something for somebody to be like, I don't need you, right? So, no, we're just not going to do it. This is definitely a depiction of how her family is. And the reason why I believe that Malia stays away, because if Malia would have been there in the car and not the family riding to the graduation, Nana would have been so when do you think that you're going to finally settle down? Because this is getting crazy. And Nana reveals that some of her friends have been asking questions and people want to know, like, well, what is she doing? And why is she married? Why she having no kids? Why don't y'all mind y'all's business and help your granddaughters and daughters ruin their marriages? Because, you meddle. So you guys continue to keep on doing that. Why don't you go and harass your grandkids a little bit about their grades and stuff and go support some basketball games and leave people alone who are minding their own business. The next question is mine. He says, Brandon expressed worry about the family fighting. Is this a sign of him getting cold feet or is he just overly concerned? I think Brandon has justification and cause for, to be concerned. Like, your grandma is really doing the most. Your grandfather doesn't seem happy because he just was like, are you going to give me the address or not? Margaret needs to come here. Like, what are we doing? He's frustrated. Granddad's frustrated. Sandy's mad. James looks like he should have drove his own car. And Frank is probably still thinking about that interaction between James and Sandy. So he's upset about that and all the bickering. And, he's still healing from the beating of a century. So, all of these people are in the back of the car and they look unhappy. Could you imagine being the driver of that Escalade and you look in the back seat and people, and everybody's looking crazy or they're arguing. And so he looks at his fiance, Veronica, and is like, what is this? And she's like, I just would normally turn up the music, and she just kind of laughs it away and looks back out the window. And I think that was alarming to him. Like, so you trying to tell me that every time your family acts like this, instead of somebody interjecting and being the voice of reason, hey, we don't have to be acting like this. We're family. Like, you know what I'm saying? You gonna just turn up the music? Like, he was like, okay, so you avoid problems. You don't confront it and say, if y'all act like this again, I'm not coming back. I'm not gonna ride with you. Just ignore it and turn on some music. I think he was alarmed by that. I don't think he's getting cold feet. I think he knows that he wants to marry her. And at this point, they're like a week and a half, 2 weeks out, or whatever it is. They get married, right? But I think he's just like, God, like, I don't want to bring my kids up in this environment where Nana is just always acting like she's having a heart attack. Like, we need to call an ambulance. We need to call the undertaker. Like, are you going to die or are you going to live? But we need to know what you want to do because I'm sick of you, woman. I'm sick of you. What are y'all's thoughts?
Okay, I have to unmute myself. I don't think he's getting, I agree. I don't think he's getting cold feet. He's just like, oh my Lord, what am I getting into? Like, this is probably his first time being around everybody. He may have met, mom or dad or whatever along the way, but to be around everybody and see how they interact with each other, he's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
dang. So I think he's concerned, but he's not getting cold feet. He's still going to go through with the marriage. It's just going to be like, he might put his foot down like, hey, so when we have our kids and our family, like once a year, we go pick a holiday, pick one, just one.
Oh,
Where
yeah.
we're going to be around folk because these folk is crazy. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he'll still go through with the wedding. I don't think he's going to leave. That'd be dramatic as hell. Like, you know
You
what?
imagine
I
he's
love you, babe, but I can't deal with this family. Like, deuces, give me my ring back. I can't do
I
this.
thought he was gonna do that for me, to be honest. I thought he was gonna be like, "No, I like you, Karina, but that's team entirely too much. You can have your family back." I thought he was gonna be like, "I'm leaving you so I could avoid them in the future." I just really felt like he was gonna do it. I'm surprised he didn't, to be honest. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's getting cold feet. It's just shocking seeing the interaction when you've never been in that environment before. And what I do think he's going to learn soon, like Karina says, why is nobody speaking up? Why is nobody being the voice of reason? Brandon is soon going to learn when you try to be the voice of reason with crazy folks, it doesn't go the way you planned. So he's going to learn how to turn up
He
that
really
radio
doesn't.
dial soon. And they both going to learn how to look out the window and get through this moment with through the family holiday because that's just what you got to do
Mm-hmm.
because people are going to be
Mm-hmm.
people and they things just
Yeah.
don't click. Like, why are you arguing about this again? Like, what are y'all talking about? You just got to ignore them crazy folks and let them be crazy, and you hurry up and get your purse and get out of there as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. Get your purse, baby. Don't leave that pocketbook. But
Purse.
that
Don't
kind
leave
of
that
makes me
pocketbook.
think. Don't leave that pocket. But it kind of makes me think, is that one of the reasons why, like in black families, you see all the men standing around outside over a fire, so, passing around a bottle or whatever, or smoking something? It's like they in there fighting over because you messed with the gravy last year to put them giblet mess in. Really? Like, I don't know what it is about family getting together and people start cooking and people don't like other people's recipes. And I'm like, people make their food according to like their taste buds. So they might like it a little salty, a little spicy, a little sweet. But, I'm going to make it according to my flavor, my taste buds. And I don't know why people can't respect that. But there's been a lot of family honey fights over recipes and who did it right. And you always see the men somewhere trying to get away from the fighting. So I was like, maybe that's why.